reached a brand new weekend. You know what that means. It's time for another entry into the Michael J. Fox filmography. Welcome one and all, and thank you so much for tuning into this video. Whether you're brand new or whether you're coming back to the channel, I generally appreciate you taking your own time to check out this review. So today's review, in the timeline order of Michael J. Fox's movies, is an NBC distributed direct-to-TV movie which is called Poison Ivy. The movie itself is directed by Larry Elikann, and he was mainly known for doing a lot of TV movies. So of course this one kind of specializes in the helm that he kind of crafted in that regard. But the really cool part of this as well is the writer of this movie is called Bennett Tramer, and he's mainly known for creating Saved by the Bell and also the later installments of Saved by the Bell in terms of the writing for the college years and the movies. The casting in this includes some pretty awesome names. We've got Michael J. Fox, of course, in this movie. We've got Nancy McKeon, and we've also got Klein, Cary, Guffey, Wright, Adam Baldwin, and Caren, Kaye. And the plot of Poison Ivy is all around a counsellor, Baxter, played by Michael J. Fox, who chases campers, and an assistant nurse at a camp run by a klutz and his roaring wife. So the plot alone maybe doesn't exactly sell this movie, being quite frank with you. Now, I actually watched Poison Ivy some time ago, so it's been, I'd say, at least 6-7 years since I've seen this movie, and I didn't really remember much about it. So what are my overall thoughts on Poison Ivy, which is kind of Michael J. Fox's last movie to be released before Back to the Future? Well, let's just dive straight into my positives. Michael J. Fox, as always, is charming, charismatic, and he's just a guy you can root for. Now, by all means, in this movie, he's hitting on an engaged assistant nurse, and you might be thinking, well, how is he charming? I can't explain it. I really can't. Throughout this movie, you're thinking, well, surely you should be leaving this woman alone. He keeps hitting on him, but to be fair, she's kind of enjoying it. Portrayed as this kind of like just player. Any girl that comes across him is falling for him. And to be fair, he's got good looks, he's got charm, he's got charisma. So I can see why girls maybe do pander to him in that regard alone. But yeah, he's definitely a likable guy, and you can just see this kind of charismatic, energetic, and just the talent that's on display waiting to be showcased in a movie. And thankfully Back to the Future came along after this and gave him that big break that he definitely deserves. So Michael J. Fox is awesome in this. Now also, we've got in this movie a part at the end where this kind of summer camp theme is all about a colour war, where they split the camp into two, the blue and the grey team, although the grey team's font is red for whatever reason. And yeah, they pretty much go on against like activities against each other and try to score the most points. So the colour war itself, like the event theme itself, pretty good. Really just a fun time, to be honest. It was really just nice to see like the kids and kind of like the relationships that we see building throughout the movie that kind of pay off throughout this entire colour war that's run by this kind of camp klutz. And yeah, he's definitely a klutz, to say the least. And I also enjoyed the character of Wright, who played a kid called Jerry. Jerry was just a really funny kid. He was just like kind of like scheming things. He was kind of like the person who had like a high rep because his brother used to go to the camp before him, and everyone knows of his brother, so they know of him, and he's kind of living up to that reputation as such, but he's kind of making his own legacy at the same regard. So he was a really funny kid, and every time he was on the screen, he kind of like lapped up the scenery in that scene, because you're thinking, right, well, what kind of scheming is he going to do next? And he certainly does do a lot of scheming in the movie. And I will also say that Nancy McKeon's character is great as Rhonda. I felt like she did the part really well, but also just the chemistry she had with Michael J. Fox was one of the best elements about this movie. And I also have to add in here that the movie is incredibly cheesy, 80s, made for TV, low budget fun. Now, if I've got to hit on to any negatives, there was a kid in here called Cary Guffey who played a kid called Timmy. Now, throughout this movie, Timmy is a character that wants to go back home. He's trying to do whatever escapes he can. When Michael J. Fox's character of Dennis Baxter's looking away, who is kind of looking after him, he's kind of on the run, or he's running to the bus station, or wherever he's going to try and get back home. The only thing is, all this kind of just meddling this kid does, because he feels like he's out of place, feels like he's getting bullied. None of that's 100% fully true, being honest with you. But yeah, I couldn't really root for this kid. I was just thinking, let him go back home, you know, go hit on the hot nurse or something, you know. But yeah, I couldn't really fully get behind his character. And yeah, definitely a low budget movie. Isn't anything to kind of talk about in terms of being like, right, this is a must watch or anything on that regard. But also the fact that there is some terrible acting in here. The terrible acting is to the point where, believe it or not, it kind of comes more from the adults than the kids. And you would think it would maybe come from the kids, considering the movie is focused on a summer camp that involves a lot of kids. But in actuality, it's a lot of the older adults that give a worse performance, and they're the ones you're supposed to buy into. Yeah, very, very strange that the adults had worse acting than the kids, but yeah, it is what it is. So overall, Poison Ivy, I would say if you've never seen this movie and you're really interested in watching Michael J. Fox's career and how that progressed from like these TV movies, besides Class of 1984, and by the way, if you've not seen Class of 1984, go watch that movie after this review. If you're really interested in seeing this journey, how he gets to Back to the Future, then I guess this is a stepping stone along that way of that journey to check out. But I wouldn't rush out to go see it again. So my overall score for Poison Ivy is... Please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. And if you've seen this movie or you're planning to see this movie, leave your comments below and let me know, did you see that?